Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Shonen and Chill, hosted by Zenrotto and Oceaniz.
Hello, hello, folks.
And, all right, someone messaged me on Discord the other day that a
hmm
Roboco anime is confirmed, and I don't know if they just said that to hurt me or if that's true.
No, that's dude. Have you been sleeping under a rock? Yeah,
Well, I
no,
can't say
Robo.
I'm on the cutting edge of Roboco news.
Oh, dude. Okay, I'm gonna hook you up with the
All
goodness.
right,
So
give me that, that hookup.
yeah, it's getting an anime, but it's specifically a short form anime. So every episode is only 5 minutes long. Uh, and I believe it's supposed to come out fairly soon too. Wait, let me quickly Google it. But yeah, no, that's happening. Which we will of course be watching day one.
Obviously, yeah, we're gonna
Naturally.
turn the show into we're gonna have a Roboco segment where we talk about how great the last 5 minutes of the
Holy
Roboco anime was, but it's only gonna be 5 minutes long.
yeah, holy shit. It's when it's starting broadcasting?
When?
It's premiering on December 4th. So in like 3 weeks. Exactly 3
Huh.
weeks from now.
Huh. That's a little fast, but
Yeah, well. Oh, interesting. All the entire voice cast is made up of like stand-up comedians.
oh, that's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. Unfortunately, they're tied to something like Roboco. But
Yeah, well, I mean,
yeah.
if you're a comedian, you probably like Roboco. I maybe, or
Also,
maybe you hate it. I don't know.
its opening song is called LOL.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Well,
right.
we tried.
Yeah, we gave it a shot. And we were excited for like 2 seconds and then we remembered it's Roboco. Um in other news, did you hear about Fujimoto on Twitter?
The him getting his Twitter account locked because he was pretending to be someone who's too young, and then he had to
Yeah.
make a backup Twitter account and desperately plead with everyone to believe that it was him because by sharing
Yes.
Chainsaw Man concept art.
Yes.
Ah,
I love everything to do with Fujimoto. He's such an unhinged king. Absolutely adore him.
he's so,
Um
that interview he took where he was like, "Yeah, I got serialized because I decided if I didn't, I would die." And the editor's like, "Okay, I didn't know that he said that." And then how did you get so, great at art? And he's like, well, was at art school and there was a lot of other really great artists there. And so I decided to myself that if I did not get better than them in the next 4 years, I would just kill them. I love that, man.
Yeah, he's so goofy. Um, which makes sense considering his output. um, Aside from that, I don't think we have any like crazy news immediately going on. Jump Festa is soon, so people are starting to sort of gear up for that. Um, can't wait for Horikoshi to say that the manga is in its final arc for the third time, and people still won't believe him. Uh,
Yeah, copium. The daily copium injections.
I've seen so much copium. I've seen people like outright not just cope about it, but pretend that it's like the most natural thing. Like, oh, you believe My Hero's ending? Fucking nerd. It's like, yeah, sorry, I believe the author for saying he's ending his story. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I take what he says seriously. Clearly,
Gullible.
that's not what the
Gullible.
fandom does. Yeah. Fake news.
True independent free thinkers just make up their own reality and exist inside of it.
Just make shit up. It's like if Hori really said it, why doesn't he have a check mark next to his name, huh? Like, why doesn't he have that $8 Twitter verification?
That's
Oh,
true. Hori didn't pay for Twitter Blue, so I need to hurry up and make an account called Horikoshi and buy Twitter Blue on it and just start saying things.
God, no, Twitter. I mean, this isn't to do with manga and anime specifically, but the whole Twitter debacle is so funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's like an
Immaculate.
angry nerd, like trying to one up everyone, but then he just keeps getting dunked on by everyone.
Did you see the newest one where he picked a fight with one of the
With
U.S.
a
senators
senator?
that is,
Yeah, I did
yeah,
see that.
is currently investigating him? Like, that's
Yeah.
so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because my girlfriend's mom asked me, I think yesterday even. She was like, "Oh yeah, so I've heard Twitter is going up in flames. Can you give us like the short version of it? I'm like, there is no short version.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an endless conga line of fuck ups.
I like
Um,
how did you see the one where oh, it's happened again, where he'll tweet something at someone and then the fact checker thing will correct him.
yeah.
It's happened twice now.
I think the second one is even better because he was like, "Oh yeah, Twitter is one of the largest net drivers on the internet. Like it
Mhm,
has
that's
the
the one I
most
just
traffic."
saw.
Yeah, and then the first line of the fact checker is the reverse is true.
Or the one where he's like tries to correct Bernie Sanders on insulin,
Insulin,
and the
yeah.
fact checker's like, actually, according to this study.
According to actual knowledge. Um, yeah, very interested to see how that whole ordeal turns out. Because honestly, how the fuck are we gonna market this show if Twitter burns and dies?
I know, right? What are we gonna
We
do?
send we'll send leaflets to people.
We'll hang those little things on everyone's doors.
Like wanted posters, but it's just like deranged ads for our podcast. It's the fucking link to your channel, like written out.
In just pen. It's not
Yeah,
even printed, it's just in pen.
and it's not even like a shortened link. It's like the entire thing. Oh, making climate change worse, one leaflet at a time.
All for our
Yeah,
deranged rambling.
yeah. The people need to know that we think Roboco's unfunny.
That's true. What would
The
they do if
streets
they
need
didn't
it.
know that?
Yeah. Well, do we actually want to get to the manga content before
Yeah,
we?
probably, because I just realized all the ones that we'd said we have to read to talk about, we have another one that we have to talk about too.
Oh, which one's
Uh,
that?
Chainsaw Man.
Oh shit, yeah. Um Oh, yeah, okay. Well, so do we want to go with the top 3 then?
Yeah. What do you got? What's your top three?
Well, thank you for reminding me because my number 3 is Chainsaw Man. Um my number 2 is Blue Box,
Okay.
and my number 1 is Jujutsu Kaisen.
Okay. Mine is Chainsaw Man 3, Undead Unluck 2, Jujutsu Kaisen 1.
All right, all right, all right. That's pretty good. So, what's first?
So with Chainsaw Man in oh wait, did we also do we have to talk about the um no, we don't. Okay, never mind. Sorry, I got my timings all screwed up there. We did talk about
Okay.
the Sasuke thing last time, right?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Of
Then our
course we
first
did.
chapter is Choujin X.
Which was actually really fun. I liked the little back and forth they had.
Yeah, it was
Um
cool.
her calling Chandra's powers that the shitty because they look like poop.
Hmm.
That was pretty funny. Um, and I also I like him as a villain. He's so cool. The
Yeah, he's
fact that he
funny.
literally turns into like an angry teenager when he
I love
powers
when
up.
he got so mad he had like that moment of clarity where
Hmm.
he's just like sitting and he's all white, like all even his suit's colored white instead of black,
Hmm.
and then he just loses his fucking mind.
Also, when Eli punches him and she goes, "This is payback for whenever."
Uh-huh. For
That's
just
that's the
any
right
time.
that's the right type of energy, girl. Um, and yeah, no, it's really cool. We're getting sort of more lore sort of on the Shojin powers and like the various ways they can manifest. That's also really cool. And of course, the moment at the end of the chapter with Tokyo sprouting wings. It's really cool. Like I'm surprised by how not tired I'm getting of this like island fight because it's been going on for a hot minute now.
It has been, yeah. I really love the final page of him sprouting the wings. Looks
Yeah,
super good.
very very Icarus,
Hmm.
you know, which obviously maybe isn't the best association for him to evoke
No,
right now.
especially against someone with fire powers, but
Hey, it's all right. Also, I like the expression where the narration is like, Chandra's like flight path currently is basically a flying casket because of how hot it is.
hmm.
I like that shit. I like when the narrator goes hard. And I wish fewer anime would remove the narrator from their adaptation because I don't like that.
Yeah, I think narration is both kind of necessary a lot of the time and it can be very impactful when done correctly.
Well, yeah, like obviously the big one everyone thinks about is Jujutsu Kaisen, where they removed most of the narration,
Hmm.
which leaves Shibuya like as a big question mark because the narration is kind of one of the best parts in Shibuya.
Yes.
Um, you know, when it describes Sukuna as so talented, it's as if a painter were to draw a masterpiece on thin air. Like you can't get that shit by another character. You need to have that in it. And now Chainsaw Man, the anime, is also removing narration apparently. So, you know, I don't know, man. Just narrate that shit a little more when you adapt manga. I
Yeah,
I
narrating is
promise.
good.
Yeah, I mean, fucking Hunter x Hunter's Chimera Ant arc is considered one of the best arcs in Shonen by some people. And that one is narrated to hell and back, and no one like dislikes the anime for the narration. I mean, I'm sure some people do, but it's not like a complaint that I hear
Yeah, I
overwhelmingly.
don't see it often, if ever, that someone's like, oh,
Yeah,
there's a narrator in this.
yeah, exactly. Like the narration is kind of part of what makes that arc cool. Um, and it's cool that Choujin is sort of leveraging it as well. And yeah, fun chapter out of 10 in my opinion.
I agree. Quality, good time out of 10.
Yes,
So next up is what is this shit called? Konoha's story, The Steam Ninja Scrolls.
the manga.
Mm-hmm.
Adapted by a novel based on Masashi Kishimoto's Shonen Jump manga Naruto. I almost choked there. Yeah,
It's
was
fine.
more Naruto. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
fine.
it's still better than Boruto. I'll say that.
Yes, yes. It's really funny because it obviously takes place parallel with Boruto, but it very carefully tries not to show us too much of Boruto, which I'm grateful for. My old man heart cannot take that. I like that this is like the censored Boruto manga. Um, I will say it did feel a bit Boruto-y in the middle when it's just like redoing the exact scene Shikamaru had with Asuma, but now with Mirai and with the role reversal. And it
Yeah.
kind of doesn't add anything. It's just like, hey, remember this cool moment? Isn't this neat? And it's like, hey, maybe do new things. Um,
Yeah, but it's still doing, and I feel like it's a little bit less. Well, I don't know. I guess it doesn't make any sense. I was gonna say I feel like it's a little bit less Boruto-y because this is like Asuma was not a big enough character to do like the, hey, look, this child is just your two characters that you like mashed together in a weird character blender.
mhm.
Like she's like Asuma and Kurenai are not big enough for that. Like this is enough of like a child character that I feel like it's not quite as blatantly weird. Like
Nah, true enough.
she doesn't just look like Kurenai, but like with Asuma's cheekbones or something. Like
Mhm.
there's, I don't know. She feels like a unique enough character who is descended from a character who was borderline irrelevant enough that it's okay.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. I feel like those moments were almost, I was like, when they're having the talk over the shogi game and everything, I was almost more like, yeah, Shikamaru, this is about you than I was about her.
Yeah, I mean, I like Daddy Shikamaru in general. I mean, he's one of the best characters in Naruto. Um, so I do appreciate his screen time. But yeah, like the whole thing where they repeat the discussion about who is the king in the Leaf Village, that was sort of like, I don't care. Like we've had that discussion
Yeah, I've
before.
already gone through that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not gonna re-evoke that. But a special shout out on page 25. That's in the bottom right corner. That's probably the best Naruto I've seen in ages from any official Naruto material.
Yes, he doesn't look atrocious with
Yeah,
his
he
dad
doesn't
cut
look. Yeah, he doesn't look divorced for once.
for once in his life.
Yeah. Aside from that, the chapter was a whole bunch of kind of nothing, like just hanging out with Mirai. Um, the final thing where it's like, oh, we're going to Hidan's country. That's cool. That's
Yes.
actually pretty cool. Because you mentioned it with Asuma and Kurenai being sort of nothing characters, and Hidan's kind of the same, where he was like a one-off villain, really. Um, part of the Akatsuki, so obviously relevant, but definitely not like a heavy hitter that you remember super well. Um, so I am happy that we're going to do something with that instead of Orochimaru's seventh clone or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm interested. If nothing else, it's definitely in terms of quality, it's definitely between Boruto and the Sasuke manga.
Yeah, it's somewhere in the middle there. It's not as good as Sasuke, but it's not like it's not bad. I enjoy it fine
Yeah,
for
it's
what
not
it is.
terrible. Yeah. It had Kakashi, Guy, and Shikamaru in it, so it has a very high density of peak fiction
That's fair
for a
enough.
manga.
I
Yeah,
also
for a
enjoyed the
manga that's
scene
supposed to be
where
boring.
she almost killed those two old people, and Kakashi was like, "What are you doing?"
Yes, that was pretty funny.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
Um, all right,
pretty good out of 10.
next up is Akane-Banashi.
Which was also pretty good out of 10, I would say.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I like the idea that, she's kind of dealing with some ramifications for her shithead actions.
Hmm.
Even if it was like, because in the moment I think everyone would have been like, yeah, show them. But I do like that it's
Hmm.
coming back to kind of bite her in the butt a little bit. It's I don't know, because like as an audience, like as a person reading it, when it happened at the time, because obviously we read through her doing it, I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. And now reading it back here, I'm also kind of like, ah, it makes sense that
Hmm.
people would be wary of her.
Hmm.
So it
Yeah.
kind of makes me feel like a douche for cheering her on.
Well, it's kind of interesting because obviously Rakugo as this ancient art is kind of collaborative by nature in that, we may be rivals in one way or another, but we are all in this boat together trying to keep this dying art alive. And so from like the in-universe perspective, she took a shot at a fellow performer, and that's sort of where it started and ended. Whereas we as the audience obviously also got to see that this guy was a major shithead. Um, but for most people, that context isn't there. And so they only see this newcomer who already made a stir when she entered that school competition. Now, taking shots at her elders, which is the big no-no in a society and an art based on respect. So I really like how the um the author seems to think about like this multi-layered chain of cause and effect. That yes, for us it was a very triumphant moment, but for the Rakugo world, that was kind of a big taboo break. So
Right.
yeah, no, I'm fully on board with this being sort of like a chip on her shoulder she needs to sort of get rid of. Um, Very interested also what the lady master is gonna do.
Yeah, that
What
came
her
kind of out of left
particular.
field, but I'm curious to see what
Yes,
the plan is there.
yes,
Because
absolutely.
she is the master for the dude who keeps helping Akane out, right?
Yeah,
So I'm
I
curious if she's
think.
gonna like jump in and be like, "I'm taking over. Also, you're putting this person on because my little guy that's my buddy said that you should."
She swoops in to save the day. Um,
That these two kind of have been doing that. Well, not these two, but the guy has been doing that a lot lately.
well, Akane is in a big and dangerous world, and she's making a lot of understandable mistakes. So I don't mind.
Hmm.
Again, especially if they're trying to like push this idea of Rakugo as this collaborative art, where everyone's reliant on the respect of the others. I feel like that's an appropriate sort of way to wiggle around the story a little. You didn't see it, but I did actually physically wiggle my shoulders. I do that a lot on like voice chat and stuff. Like someone will be talking to me, and like I'll be nodding, and a second later I'm like, "Who the fuck am I nodding for?"
I've done it too. Yeah.
Yeah. um, but yeah, Akane was very cool this week. Very very fun. To have like these ramifications for actions. And yeah, that's probably where my thoughts end.
Right, then that puts us with Mashle.
Which I believe we call this rawness and swag.
We do, in fact. Yes.
Yeah.
I like that his whole power is like nullified by the fact that the guy's blind already, and I also like
Yes.
how he apologizes for being blind.
Yes, and it's such a fun reveal too because
Yeah.
the light guy has been dominating him for the last two chapters, and then his ultimate move fails, and we're like, "Huh, what?" And he's just like, "Yeah, I've been blind the entire time." Like that's like classic peak shonen,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. It's like, "Oh, sorry, I was fighting with my non-dominant hand the entire time. Should I have told you?" It's that kind of shit.
I loved when he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to trick you. That was kind of cheap of me."
Yeah.
And thank God, the person who can actually turn the fucking key is back. So we might be done
Yes.
with this goddamn key soon.
there might actually be a plot again soon.
God.
Yeah. But yeah, aside from that, this was really just another one of those essential Mashle is cool and nothing else chapters.
Yeah, I mean I feel like that's Mashal by design at this point, and I'm all about it.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Mashal did another cool ass thing out of 10.
Yeah, it just
Uh,
kind of puts us in a weird situation, right? Because from an audience perspective, we're sort of just talking about this for like 2 minutes and moving on. But like, read this shit and try and talk to me about it for 10
yeah,
minutes.
break down the allusion to Buddhism in this chapter of Mashal, all right? Like,
Don't tempt them.
oh God, you're right.
Yeah, because Doom's sword is kind of intricate. I'm sure someone will find a way to like. But I mean, not to be disparaging. Go ahead. It's just for me, especially on a Sunday evening. I read Mashal and my brain goes, "Wow," and that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
it.
Ooh, yeah, like that's
Ooh,
about it. Um,
yeah, let's go.
all
But
right.
yeah,
So the next up is Ginka and Luna for some fucking reason. We're still doing this.
uh, yeah, this was a chapter.
Boy, it sure sucked. Still.
I wouldn't say. I don't know if I would say it sucked. It was just kind of unimpressive. Like I just kind of walked away thinking, "Oh, I've read it." Like check mark. But there wasn't, at least to me, there wasn't anything like outwardly offensive in it.
I don't think I like the main character. I think that's my problem. I think she irritates the shit out of me. I think that like they almost want her to have like Goku vibes almost,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not doing it for me. I don't know. I think it's because like she feels out of place in a story like this almost to me, where
Okay.
like the world is intricate and there's all these rules, but then she's just like the wild mountain child who just does whatever the fuck she wants and learns everything just by seeing it happen one time. And I don't know. I feel like I would prefer the world of like learning shit by the like I don't know. It feels like they have all this intricacy in the world building they want to talk about, but they don't have to because the main character doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about that last week already. That it feels like there are cool power systems in this world, and we're stuck with the one character that doesn't have any reason to learn about them. Because especially now that we've learned that she can basically like just copy abilities the moment she sees them, we're never actually gonna hear about how this system works. It's just gonna be she sees a cool spell, she uses it and learns it, and that's it.
The
Um.
only hope that I have is that
Mhm.
he mentions that her powers are like against the law. So
Mhm.
I'm hopeful now that when they're going to the guild thing, Snowman Boy is gonna have to teach her how to use like legal magic. And she's gonna
Mhm.
struggle with that because she only knows how to do her stupid instinctive style that she does now. That is my hope and prayer.
Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
my fear is that she's gonna go and just instantly be really good at this other kind of magic too, because that's the kind of story this has been so far.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I could end up liking it more soon, or I could just completely write it off soon.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, throughout this chapter, there were like three or two separate points where I thought, "Oh, is this the plot point that like foreshadows an early end?" But then it didn't come to pass. Like when he's oh, I will refuse you entry, and instead I will fuse you back together myself. I was like, "Oh, are we doing this? Is the
Yeah,
series
when
over?"
he was like, "I've already gathered a shitload of fragments of your body," I was like, "Oh my God, are we
Yeah,
are we wrapping it up now?"
yeah, but I don't think we are. I think there's still some gas left in the tank. Um, But yeah, I mean, now you mention it, I can't say I'm fond of Luna either. Because it really feels like she just walks through the world, finds a situation, and then solves it. And that's it.
Immediately,
Yeah.
without like really knowing what she's supposed to be doing.
Yeah. In that sense, she feels. Yeah, Goku is a good example, but I'm also thinking of like early Luffy in like One Piece.
Yeah, I can see that too. I feel like they're kind of
Where,
similar as well, though.
yeah,
So
where like, they're bumbling around the world, eating food and wanting to get stronger. And whenever there's a problem, they just punch it and then they eat more food. And progression, I mean, for both Goku and Luffy, took a while before it really sort of started being a focus. And I've seen people compare Ginka and Gluna to early One Piece for that like adventure feel, and I think this is like part of that. This idea that you have a main character who's kind of unbothered by the conventions of writing, really, and just sort of hangs out and finds all these cool like fish and weird people. but I don't know. It doesn't have
See, I
this.
think One Piece in the beginning was more grounded though, in that the characters around Luffy cared a lot about that shit. And they would
Mhm.
constantly be like, actually, this, and this. And then Luffy would be like, shut up, I don't give a shit. But like, you're still getting that world building exposition of like, these are the rules, this is the Navy, these are the fucking
Yeah.
ranks. Like, oh, pirates, this happens to pirates. And even though Luffy's like, stop speaking, I don't care, you're still getting
Mhm.
that information. Whereas in
That
this,
is
it's
true.
literally like, oh, you don't know how magic works? Okay. And we just won't talk
Yeah,
about it then.
because I think also another difference, now that you mention it, is that with Luffy, while he may not care, his journey to become the king of the pirates means he's gonna have to learn about the world. He's gonna have to learn about, how devil fruits work and all that shit. Whereas here with Luna, it really feels like the story has, yeah, stuck us on the back of the one character that really just gets to not care about anything. And we're only focalizing the story through her. Because, she's super talented, she can solve any problem she sees, and she's paired up with one of the most powerful magicians in history who doesn't need to explain what he's doing because he can just, fucking skip through fights basically. Um, so yeah, it really does depend on sort of how soon the gear shifts because otherwise I can definitely see us dropping this manga.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we shouldn't be so mean quite yet.
It's something. It's something.
Hmm. And we've just
So
reached chapter 10,
next up is Spy Family.
which was fun as usual.
Yeah, it was good. I like when she reads his mind that the bomb's fake, and so she's
Hmm.
like acting all like cool about it, and then it just makes everyone mad at her.
Yeah. Also, God, I said it last time, I think, but I fucking love Anya's facial expressions.
The
She's
gremlin
so
face.
funny.
Yeah.
All of them. Like when she realizes that the bomb is fake, the like little wheeze face she makes. I mean, in general, the facial expression in this manga are great. Like when Yuri figures out that Anya dying would make his sister sad, and
Yeah,
he's
and he
like,
freaks out. He's got like the
yeah,
giant eye.
yeah, love that. Also, I love that he needed like a full, like fucking Death Note logic thinking moment for him to figure out that his sister losing her surrogate child would be a bad
Would
thing.
be negative. Yeah.
Yeah, I fucking hate Yuri, but he is funny
I hate him too. Yeah, he's like my least favorite character.
by far. For me too. But also really good moment for Damien here. I like what they're doing with him, or what they've been doing with him, to like make him sort of like he's just kind of a normal and pretty nice kid, but he feels like he has to pretend to be this stuck up little asshole.
Hmm.
And then you have moments like these where like his actual personality shines through, where he's like, "No, I will actually try and save people because I am not a bad person." And then they just strap another fake bomb on him.
I'm assuming that next chapter Yuri's gonna show up at this place because he ran out.
Yeah,
Um, I also like Becky's dad being like, I don't give a shit if you have to burn the city down.
parenting.
Hmm. Parenting when you
Also,
have a lot of money.
yeah. Also, the fucking positive cliffhanger being heavily armed state police arriving. I was like, boy, howdy.
Yeah.
But no, it's pretty cool. And if Yuri does show up, that'll be interesting for like the plot, quote unquote, because if Lloyd figures out that Yuri works for the secret police, that will probably spice up the plot quite a bit.
I thought he already
Um,
did figure that out.
did he?
Remember
I
when he
thought he
was like
only.
leading him with the loaded questions and like the loaded conversation, and Yuri was repeating it back to him out of like a spy training handbook almost?
Oh yeah, but I thought he only figured out he was like, oh, he's like some sort of like special operative, but I didn't think he
Oh, I
figured
guess he
out
doesn't know like
specifically.
specifically his exact role. No.
Well, yeah, because I think there's a difference between being a trained soldier and working for the Gestapo. So I don't know. Either way, it would be interesting to have Yuri in the situation. Even though, again, I fucking hate him.
Yeah. I don't
Um,
like him as a character, but he's like the only real potential threat to Lloyd right now that exists in the overarching narrative. So,
yes. Um, Also very sweet moment when Anya reassures Damien.
Yeah, that was very nice. We got the little
Yeah.
gentle reassurance moment. That was very sweet.
Hmm. And yeah, next time, police shootout.
Yeah, that last panel looked like it would have come right out of My Hero Academia.
What? Oh, it took me a second. Oh my god. Oh my god. Someone needs to buy a Twitter check mark. And I'm not gonna say it, but people can figure it out.
Put it together on your own.
Yeah, but God, even when my hero isn't in a magazine, it does live rent free in our heads. It really does.
It's just so easy to make fun of.
It really is. I mean, especially for me, it's sort of like I really do still like it, and I've spent so much of my life at this point liking it that like the jokes come naturally,
Yeah, I don't hate it. I just
especially
think it's
lately.
funny to make fun of it when it does dumb things.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good like 7.5 out of 10. You know, it used to be better than that, but you
Yeah,
know,
but
that's how it
take what you
goes.
can get.
Yeah, exactly. Um, we want to move on before we make more people upset,
Yeah. Next up is Sakamoto Days.
which was very fun and very
It
cool.
was. It was cool. I'm gonna miss Club Jam.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like this is a good way for him to go out. Just this absolute fucked up clown screaming about how cool it is that he lost his arm.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Um, I was like the way they defeat him, where they managed to snap the guy out of the hypnosis, and then Club Jam's like, "Oh, I'm gonna put you back in," and then we get that cool panel
Of
where
him
he
hacking
cuts
his
his arm
hand
off.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the final double spread, so fucking good. So much punch and energy there.
Yes, I absolutely love that punch. It's such a good like. I love the all the rocks shattering out of the wall, the amount of energy that he gets hit by. And I'm a sucker
Mhm.
for the I've only got one of these left moments.
Yeah, yeah, and also like the way they build it up throughout the entire chapter, where it's like, oh, I need to make sure I make a count and all that. So yeah, no, very cool. Also, fantastic color page this week. The invisibility effect looks as good
Yes, it
in
looks
color as
crazy.
yeah. This is a fantastic artist, and also someone pointed out to me like the way this color page is composed, you could actually just make this like a movie poster almost.
Oh,
You put a
absolutely.
couple,
Yeah,
yeah,
this
you could put a
looks
couple of
exactly
staff
like a
names
movie
on there.
poster.
Damn, I would actually buy that. That looks fucking sick. And yeah, you know, the usual stuff with Sakamoto applies. You got great like directionality of action and paneling. Like already just page 3 and 4, sort of that whole sequence where he's swinging around the staff.
hmm
Super cool.
The whole like way they work that staff this entire time has been really good. Like very dynamic. Doesn't feel clunky or chunky to follow the action with it at all.
Hmm. Also Club Jam screaming, "I want more abuse." That's sure an interesting panel.
I like the look on his face when he gets electrocuted.
Oh yeah.
He's screaming, "We."
Yeah, his eyes are just bulging out.
hmm Also, I'm a sucker for anytime Shin's like Ultra Instinct mode gets an activation panel. That shit's so cool.
Hmm.
I love like the shing sound effect when his eyes change. That's fucking awesome.
Yes, and I also really like how he incorporates what he had learned from the old lady.
hmm
Like, I like that that comes back. It makes sort of all the fights feel more sequential and connected.
And also,
And
I imagine
yeah,
we're gonna get some more lore on the dad here, because clearly
yes,
there's something else going on.
yes, definitely. There was definitely a lot of like conflicting imagery there in the little flashback we got.
hmm
And yeah, it was pretty good out of 10, I would say.
Yeah, quality Sakamoto chapter out of 10. R.I.P.
Yes.
Club Jam.
RIP Club Jam. You were the greatest JoJo character to not appear in JoJo.
So next up is the Ichinose family's deadly sins.
Right. So last week I made a mistake. I said that this was the newcomer that was based off of a contest winner. That's incorrect. It's a different one that for that that is the case with that. This one is Basically the newest work by an author who's already been very popular on Jump Plus over the last week.
Okay.
And I can see why. This is wild.
Yeah, it's a crazy concept, and I did not expect the twist when they get
Yes,
back
right?
and their house is all crazy and shit.
Right? I thought this was going to be sort of straight up what you see sort of in the first, well, in the majority of the chapter, that they're just trying to regain their memories and they genuinely are just a family. And then those final few pages hit and it's just like, oh no. Like, oh God, what's going on here? Um, I have been informed that this guy's previous work was extremely crass and pretty, you know, uh, viewer discretion advised, that kind of stuff. So I'm really interesting how he's gonna bring that in now, because clearly this is not gonna be like a straightforward story. And now I'm actually up for that. I was very impressed with this first chapter.
Yeah, and I liked the little the bits at the end where they're all like the last double spread where I guess their old selves are visible behind like their new amnesiac selves.
Hmm.
I'll say I'm very interested because I had no interest in this at all in the beginning. I was like, wow, okay, this is gonna
Yes.
be like, oh, we're we're a sweet family and we're gonna have sweet family moments. And I was like, I get enough of that in Spy Family. I don't need more sweet family moments. I
Yeah.
have an upper limit. And then we got the page turn from 45 to 46, and I was like,
Yeah.
hold on,
Hold on.
we
Um,
might be cooking with gas after all. Hold on.
Also, one thing I want to point out is I the art style is interesting because like character art is extremely cartoonish and like simple. But then if you look on the double spread on page 40 and 41, you have the contrast between that cartoony art style and then that hyper cluttered like where's Waldo like environmental art,
hmm
which the
Like the
chapter does a
super
few
detailed
times.
background art.
Yeah, it's interesting. It really gives it a very unique look. I'm not sure if I love it yet, but I definitely think it takes a lot of skill to pull this off, and
hmm
that is definitely impressive. And yeah, aside from that, I'm just very interested. If those last few pages didn't exist, I would probably say this is just some sweet schlock that I won't be interested for very long, but oh boy, those last few pages sure do exist.
Yeah, those last few pages are better than the rest of the whole chapter. Um, shit goes crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Hmm.
All right. So I think we're gonna say curious for the future out of 10.
Yes, I think I can co-sign that.
So the next up, we're going into top three territory now. We have
Hmm.
got Chainsaw Man.
Fucking love Chainsaw Man.
Yeah, it's hard to not just absolutely love Chainsaw Man anytime it's happening.
Yeah, I Denji is such a fucking idiot. Just the dumbest fucking dork. He's like, "Yeah, wait a minute. I can show you I'm not just Chainsaw Man. Look at me."
Uh-huh.
And then Yoshida has to pull him out.
And he's like, but it was so natural. While the whole time he's like, no, no, listen, I'm totally
um,
not just Chainsaw Man.
yeah.
I
And
also like how when he sees her like in her underpants, he just like dissociates.
yeah.
And then the survivor sticks her hand out. He's like, oh, what?
Yeah, the question is, was he dissociating because he was sort of entranced, or was it because he had flashbacks to the last time he was into naked chicks? That being Makima.
I don't know. I mean, she doesn't look like Makima really in any capacity.
Well, yes, but the only like person who he has ever had anything close to a sexual relationship with was the fucking control devil. So, I could imagine that association still being there.
I could see it.
Yeah. Because I was surprised because when I sort of turn the page and I see that, oh, okay, he's staring at her, I kind of expected him to say something instead of just sort of zone out.
Instead of just like fade into the background. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, in the second half of the chapter, we get the whole reveal that Yuko is not dead and has just turned into a devil, which is interesting. And
Yes,
also,
which not like a fiend like power either, like a devil devil.
hmm Yeah, which is interesting, and also Asa gets her own door moment.
Yeah, don't open the door.
Hmm. But it's cool how it sort of also characterizes her in contrast with Denji, because Denji had this door that he could never open for the entirety of part one. Asa is told once to not open a door, and she barges in.
Opens immediately. Yeah, barely
Yeah.
hesitates.
Hmm. Really like that. And yeah, just in general, like this series keeps evolving into something more and more interesting. Because it really looks like Denji is gonna remain like almost a secondary character. And we're just gonna keep like focalizing through Asa, and seeing the world through her eyes, which is very interesting. Um and yeah, I'm super curious to know what the fuck happened with Yuko, because she also has like a weird tentacle hand now.
Yeah, she looks like I mean, like, I guess what the Justice Devil looked like, which is some
Yeah.
kind of weird, creepy tentacle beast with like some kind of freaky ass head. I don't know. I also the imagery of her waking up in bed and looking over to see Yoru asleep still was weird.
Hmm. Yeah. But I guess it's one way to visualize that, one of them is around.
Hmm.
Um but yeah, no, very cool, very fun. Love Denji.
Denji's like one of
I
my
love the
favorite
implication.
characters in anything. He's so fucking stupid.
Yes. And I love the implication that Yoshida was watching all of this for the entire time and
Hmm.
only stepped in once Denji was about to reveal himself.
I love how disappointed he is that he couldn't.
Yeah. My idiot king. Love him. But all right, do we want to move on then?
Yes, we can jump into Blue Box.
God, this one hurt, but it was also necessary.
Yeah, see, this is like one of those weird ones where I feel like he did the right thing here.
Yes.
Um, if it wasn't gonna happen, it wasn't gonna happen. And her whole thing about like, oh, you don't have to tell me is like kind of a crutch of like you're not saying no, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I feel like he made the mature decision right here, but God, that
Yes.
hurt.
Yeah. Like, I am very proud of him. I think this was a very good moment for him, like to showcase also that he's becoming more mature. But good God, yeah, Hina did not take that well, and that was painful to watch.
Yes.
And but I also like the whole discussion that they have with with Taiki's whole thing, where he's like, "Look, it doesn't it doesn't absolve the situation if you just say that you're ready to wait. That's not fair on you and not really healthy for either of us, because all it does is it puts us into deadlock, right? Because he can't move on because he feels guilty because he's making her wait, and she can't move on because she's making herself wait.
Right.
So- which isn't, yeah, it's just not a good position to be in, especially as a teenager, when you're supposed to be a little more, have all that freedom, have all these opportunities. It's not wise to close yourself off, especially with something like this, where I'm sorry, everyone can see it's not going to happen
Hmm.
at this point. Um, and I do like sort of the way Hina is characterized here, where like even after he tells her like two, three times that look, this is not happening, she's still like presenting it as oh look, I it's my decision, I'm choosing to wait for you, why can't you see that this is a good thing? And then at the end, when he makes it very clear, she sort of, this entire thing kind of collapses, and she breaks it down to just kind of being jealous of Chinatsu, like,
Yeah,
what
with
do
the
I
whole
have to
like,
do?
yeah, why is it that I'm the one you should like and you don't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I like, because it also like humanizes her a lot, like makes it sort of, you know sure, she can try her best, and by God she did, to make this into an intellectual, reasonable decision, but in the end it just comes down to, he doesn't like you like that, and you can't accept that. um and I think yeah, it was mature of Taiki to sort of just put draw the line in the sand there, because otherwise, Taiki might maybe be able to move on and get with Chinatsu. But for Hina, her most likely scenario would have been to just wait around, waste God knows how much time waiting for a guy whose only conclusion to this will be making her watch him leave with the other girl.
Mm-hmm.
So no, this was a very well executed chapter in my opinion. It didn't feel like forced in its emotionality. It didn't feel like it was overly indulgent in like the sadness of it. It was just brutal in the way a rejection is.
Right,
Um
and it was brutal and it was quick. Like you said, it
yes.
didn't sit around and wait on it. She cried for maybe 4 pages, that were mostly narrated by Taiki's thoughts. And
Mhm.
then and the next day you see her, putting on a brave face to be around her friends and stuff. It's not like, and I'm sure it's going to come back up again. It's not like it's gone either. But
Mhm. Well, yeah,
it's
Taiki
not
didn't
like
feel doubt.
Taiki breaks down when he sees her the next day or anything.
Mhm. And then right at the end, we're gonna finally pick up on the big mystery plot point. What the fuck's up with Haryu?
Yeah, why is he all of a sudden here to help out again?
Yeah, what happened?
We don't
Um,
talk about the art a ton for this series. I really like page 10 when it gets that like impact filter design on the panel where she starts crying really hard.
yes.
Really good.
Yeah, I mean, the art in general is phenomenal in Blue Box.
hmm I almost thought for a minute that it was rain, and I was like, "Oh my God, wait, it's not rain. It's like an anime like impact filter."
Mhm.
It's really good.
The pressure of the speed lines weighing her down.
I also really like the drawing of the fire on page 12.
Yes, also very nice.
And I also like, this is not about the art anymore, but well, about the art, I really like page 18. But on page 17, I like Taiki, kind of reaffirming for himself, like, okay, this hurts and it sucks, but I did the right thing. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not waffling on it. I'm not second guessing on it. I made the correct decision.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we're still gonna get a little bit of second guessing because that's just kind of the character he is. But I do like that he isn't like thinking of ways to reverse it. He's just sort of like, look, yeah, it sucks, but this had to be done.
hmm Absolutely.
Yeah, no, very happy that this series can be this mature because I think we've said it a lot, but it's very rare for adolescent media to portray these things in a way that is mature and fair to the
hmm
characters. Because quite often it feels like either wish fulfillment or revenge fantasies, and it's very rarely is there one that is this delicate with it. So yeah, I'm very impressed out of 10.
All right. So next up, we have Undead Unluck. Shit was
Which was
so
a very
good.
good
I
bit.
love the I love the bit where she catches his wife and she's like, "I did it. I played Cupid. You're gonna be born again." And they're like, "Yeah." And then they start fighting, and she has this mental picture of her old friend like fading out.
Yeah. Also, I do like how the scene between Nico and his wife is essentially just the exact same scene we got in his flashback,
hmm
but with Fuko in the background.
Just standing in the background, yeah.
Yeah, I could never forget the line, "Cover up those unsightly mounds of flesh." But yeah, super cool, and I'm really enjoying the pace. Uh, I've mentioned it now in the last 2 weeks that that was sort of the main thing I was interested in, and I can now say I am enjoying the way this is paced. I'm enjoying sort of the way they're sort of bringing in more than just one character at a time to solve like one massive problem, which is unchange.
hmm
And I think yeah, if they keep that up with like setting up like almost these milestone recruitments, and in the meantime doing smaller recruitments to prepare for it, I think that's gonna make this a very enjoyable arc to read.
Yes, the whole, like you said, the whole flow of it is great. I love Fuko with all of the artifacts, like when she dashes through on the fucking Nimbus cloud.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. I also love that she was like, "Yeah, I had a lot of time, so I just went around and found a lot of oil and started selling it."
Yeah, it was really funny.
Yeah, she just like, I love when she's reading how much money he needs, and she's like, okay," and she just starts scribbling out a check while he's talking.
Yeah, and it's like an absurd amount of money, and she's just like, "Oh, you can have more. Just tell me."
hmm
Love that. God, Fuka's so good.
I love Fuko so much.
Mm,
What a good character.
absolutely. Again, it's really cool to see that the story still has this much steam with its most sort of iconic character taken out of it, right?
Yeah,
Because it
with Andy
was,
not present at all.
yeah, because for a while it definitely felt like the Andy manga, and now he's not around, and Fuka is just as cool. It's
Yeah,
really
well, I
nice.
kind of like because we had the mini Andy arc where it was like just him.
Yeah, right.
And now we're getting ours with Fuko, and I love it feels totally different, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, you still have that same like excitement and tension and like the problems need to be resolved, even though all the problems we're dealing with are no longer like, uh-oh, I gotta fight a million giant kaiju at the same time. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I feel like I enjoy the tension of Fuko solving these problems a little bit more, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I get it. Um, Also tangentially related, the scene where Nico's like, "Oh, what other inventions do you know of?" And she starts listing all like the horrible things the Union has invented, and he's like,
Hmm.
"Wait, are you the good guys or
Yeah,
not?
and he's like, what?
This is unethical."
I also like how
Um,
she's like, well, we built a giant laser to kill God, and he goes, yeah, I could see myself doing that.
that's the attitude you need in life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have much else to say. This was a very good chapter. I'm very excited now, with Operation Unchange. What's gonna happen?
Yeah, because they didn't end up, I don't, at least as far as I can tell, end up building the actual thing to put her in yet. So
Hmm.
I'm curious to see what their actual solution's gonna be. I don't know. That'll
Yeah,
be cool.
yeah. I guess we'll just have to see.
And then we have the end of the main program, which is
Hmm.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
I mean, at this point, if you don't know what we're gonna say, this might be your first episode.
Yeah,
Then
is this the first time you've watched this? I
I
want to
have
know what
gained.
fucking power he used at the end.
Yeah, I've seen people call it nullification, but yeah, it's clearly very advanced and very powerful. And I do like that Choso's victory here isn't beating him; it's forcing him to use another ability so they know more about him.
Hmm. I also like his like little looking down at the ground disappointed face that he has after he does it.
Yeah, he's like, ugh.
Yeah, the little,
Also, I've gained so much respect for Choso.
yes, what a goat.
Yeah, I mean,
Kamo
we were
could never.
worried. We were worried like 2 weeks ago that he was just gonna get curb stomped, and he kind of did. But this is such a great showing. Like also using all the abilities from the wombs. I kind of wish we would have seen him use some funky abilities from the other brothers we haven't seen yet. Um, I feel like that would have been interesting.
Yeah, I guess he didn't want to potentially open that can of worms.
Yeah. Although also the you know um you know how in manga and anime like you see look at a bunch of characters and you can instantly tell who's meant to be important and who's meant to be like a nobody.
Hmm.
I find it so funny that one of the like most important characters in this chapter, one of the brothers that helps Choso is just this fucking gnome,
Just this
Kechizu.
Mike Wazowski looking.
Yeah. Like it really strikes me because I never expected Kechizu and Eso to ever become important, but Choso makes it feel so natural. He's like, yes, my brother Kechizu's special ability. I'm like, your brother Kechizu was a fucking rat.
I also like Esso in a dress shirt.
What?
It on page 3, he's just in like a dress shirt and slacks.
Oh yeah. um, no, I loved it. This was a really good showing for Choso. Also the way he forces Kenjaku to use his special ability, the supernova thing, is so fucking cool.
Yes, it is. I also like
Um,
how he has Yuji listed in equal importance to the other two. Like he's treating him exactly the same.
well, yeah, he's his brother. Also like the stretchy arms.
Yeah, the rip my arm off with blood and pull it back. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, but very Undead Unluck actually.
Yes, it is.
Hmm. Um, And as usual, art fucking phenomenal. Love the way this chapter flows as well. The use of like the bloodlines to
Hmm.
make for movement is so clever and so cool. Um, Again with the stretchy arms, I find it funny because that's apparently what he got from Kechizu. Kechizu couldn't do that, could he?
If he did, he didn't do it in the fight that he was in.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. He's like my brother
well,
Kechizu.
Ketchisu didn't really do anything though, you know?
He just hopped around like the little toad he
Yeah, he just
was.
hopped around like a little gremlin, and then he got his shit rocked. So
Yeah,
maybe that was Ketchizu's power the whole time.
Kechizu's power was to go goblin mode. Also, I love the. I mean, it's very sort of kitsch and cliche, but the visual at the start of his brothers like pushing him forward. That's the kind of like kitsch that I like. You know,
Yeah,
it's
I
a
saw a lot of
trope
people
for a
being like, "How
reason.
is this not, power of friendship?" And I'm like, "But I mean, I guess in a way it kind of is, but I don't know. I think it's pretty hard to equate this to like, oh, I'm the Shonen MC and I flash back to all my homies and now I'm in God mode." It's
Yeah, because
just,
he's not even in god mode. All he's managed to do is make his super powered opponent use one other ability besides the one he's been spamming.
mm-hmm. Like he managed to like make him try instead of a one, he now had to try at a two instead.
Yeah.
Like,
And I do like how that sort of builds up Kenjaku as this massive threat. That like just getting him to reveal a tiny bit more about his ability is already such a win.
mm-hmm.
It really makes this feel like this is going to be a massive effort to, you know, figure out his deal, let alone take him down later down the line. Um, because yeah, like this ability straight up looks like he just nullifies other look, other quirks,
Oh God,
other curse
you got the
techniques.
brain rot bad.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry it's taking over. This week's My Hero anime episode was actually kind of good, so it started pulsating again.
Oh no.
The growth. Um, but yeah, no, very cool chapter. Very excited to see where this goes. Very excited to see Yuki fight
Yeah, the
finally.
Yuki cut in. We haven't talked about that yet. That's pretty fucking hype as well.
hmm With her freaky little mechanical
Yeah, her
dragon
weird little
thing.
mecha dragon.
hmm Very cool. Very cool. You have anything else to say?
No, just cool.
Just very cool. Yes.
Rawness and swag as usual.
All right.
All right, so then that puts us into the Patreon reader segment, which
hmm
we have chosen Record of Ragnarok this week or month
Yes,
to
which
talk
which
about
I'm assuming people will have already known from the thumbnail because I'm pretty
because
sure
it's
I'm
going
gonna
to
put
be on
that
the
on the
thumbnail.
thumbnail.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. All right, before I say anything, what did you think of it?
I, there's not a lot going on. Um,
hmm
I kind of like the stylization to it. I think the art's pretty cool. Um,
hmm
it I don't know if the whole series is going to be like this, but it really feels like it's just two raw ass names you probably recognize fighting the shit out of each other,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I'm okay with.
I from what I know, I believe the entire story is just this tournament.
I'm I'm here for it. Like there's not a lot of like depth in here, we're not
hmm
solving like societal problems. We're just kind of like shit's they do be punching though, and I'm okay with it.
Okay, okay. Uh, I really didn't like it.
Really?
Yes, because it's sort of, as you said, it's very sort of focused on rawness and swag, but it doesn't lay any of the groundwork for it. It's kind of just like within 5 pages, they're fighting, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's very much like a cheap popcorn movie.
It's not
Like
even what. The only thing I could think of was this is what a manga looks like when it's written by power scalers. Like yeah, like that's it. It's literally just could Thor beat Lubu? And then they make a manga out of it. And sort of, and I don't know, I just didn't find any of it all that interesting. But I think that could also have to do with the fact that this might genuinely be the worst design for Thor I've ever seen in
Yeah, I really
anything.
didn't like the Thor.
Terrible,
The
awful.
Mjolnir looks terrible as well, which
Yeah,
didn't
it's
help.
sort of like, and I mean Lubu. I've only ever seen a few stylization of him, so this was all right. But God, yeah, that Thor really sort of. I think that also ticked me off a lot. I was like, why would you turn him into like a lanky twink?
Well, I mean,
Like
yeah, I mean it's anime, but God, it was not a good Thor design. I did like his entrance. I thought his entrance was pretty cool, where
yes.
the weird demon is like, "Oh, hi, you're bowing in front of me," and she's like, "Not you," and he just destroys that guy. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then it was
Yeah.
super undercut by how mediocre Thor looks.
Yeah.
The only real god design I really, really like is Zeus.
Yes,
Zeus is
Zeus looks
kind of
about as
awesome.
disgusting. He looks about as disgusting as he should.
He's this disgusting little rat man, and then he just becomes ripped when he wants to.
Yeah.
He's like a more honest portrayal of Master Roshi.
Yeah, I guess. Um but yeah, no, I did not enjoy this all that much because yeah, like it was cool and the art is definitely very raw. Although sometimes it was a little cluttered with like special effects and speed lines where I'm like, "Oh, what's happening?"
Hmm.
Um but the one thing that really was missing for me was why do I care? Right? Because it was just sort of like, okay, if I just wanted to watch cool like fights, I could just watch an AMV. And this is kind of what it feels like. It feels like an emotionless AMV. You just get action without context, with the very bare minimum of a story setting where humanity will be destroyed or whatever, which is a cool idea, but they really don't do anything with it, at least as far as what we've read is concerned, which is admittedly very little. But I don't know, like that's most of the first fight out of 13, and I didn't really care about it.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that it's kind of banking on you recognizing like the real world relevance of the people, and then being like, oh, this is a really cool mix of my action figures beating the shit out of each other. I don't know that it's going for anything more than that because if it is, it's not doing a very good job. Um, like I read a
I
couple
don't know.
chapters further than we were supposed to because I went ahead and finished Thor versus Lubu and
Oh yeah,
our
me too
5 chapter
actually.
quota cuts off in the middle. And they tried to
Hmm.
do this kind of thing of like, oh no, their souls are being lost forever, and I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I don't know who that girl was that you turned into a spear. I don't give a shit about Lubu, I'll tell you that right now.
Hmm.
I don't care about that. So anytime it kind of tries to be like, oh, there's real consequences to this, I'm like, I don't, whatever. But I can get behind the vibe of just I'm smashing my action figures into the wall. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, it's sort of like, sure, there is like a base level appeal to it, but if you're gonna make this like a published work, you gotta give me something more. Like, if it's just about like who would win in like a mythology battle, I'm sorry, that's by itself just not interesting to me.
Hmm.
Um, like the action is cool, but that's kind of where it ends. I think what might be fun if you sort of keep reading it is looking at how they stylize certain gods, and certain like personalities. Like Aphrodite looks fucking hysterical.
Yeah, sitting on top of all those buff dudes, and they're like literally holding her boobs up.
Yeah, I mean no bras in ancient Greece. Um, I've seen what Buddha looks like from like later on in the manga, and it's fucking hilarious. Do you want to know?
Absolutely.
He's like a hipster dude, bro.
I kind of like that though.
Yeah. Um. So yeah, no, I feel like there's also like an interest there. Um. To sort of yeah, to sort of see how it deals with them. I will say it's really funny how it's like, oh, gods versus men, and then the gods are sort of from all over because you get like the full roster of the fights right in advance,
Hmm.
and like the gods are from all over the world, and the humans there's like two from outside of Asia, I want to say, and the rest
Yeah,
is
that
all
sounds right.
yeah, the rest is like Chinese and Japanese, which like fine. It's like a manga, right? It's just kind of funny that oh yeah, it's men versus the gods, but no, actually it's like most of Japan's history versus the gods, and Jack the Ripper is also there, I guess.
Yeah, it was like Jack the Ripper, and I think Nikola Tesla was one of them.
Which is wild. What the fuck's Nikola Tesla gonna do?
Oh, and Adam. Adam is
Oh,
also
yes.
there.
Yes, I know. This is just one of those series that feels like it was made specifically with the idea that it's gonna get animated by like a high profile studio. Which is funny when you realize that it does have an anime on Netflix that looks like absolute garbage because
Does
it
it
is
really?
like, yeah, it has like it's a PowerPoint presentation
Ah, that's
type
unfortunate.
anime. Yeah,
Like
it's
House Husband
pretty
style.
bad. It's not quite that bad because House Husband was like a creative choice from what I know. But with Record of Ragnarok, it's a normal anime. It's just done badly from
Ah,
what
that's a
I
shame.
understand. Yeah. Um. So yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely not gonna keep reading this because, as I said, the amount of value I got out of it was not as much as was hoping to. I will say I was genuinely disappointed because I heard so much good stuff about it, and it's really popular on like anime YouTube for some reason. Like a lot of my colleagues are doing videos on it.
Hmm.
So like, oh yeah, this must be like interesting. And I look at it and I'm like, how can one make a video on something like this? Like, there's nothing there. It's just, yeah, Thor is really fucking powerful, and so is Lu Bu. Next, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like that's the. It's got to just be the rawness and swag appeal, right? Like that has to be the goal here, because they
I
don't do
guess,
anything else.
or like power scaling, or like trying to see how much of it stacks up to real history. But besides that, like they're, yeah, because also like our focalizing character, like the Valkyrie, like I don't know what the fuck her deal is. Doesn't seem to be anything all that interesting, at least as far as we read.
Yeah, up to the point that we read, there was really nothing to the
Yeah, and
character at all. She's just like, we gotta defend people.
yeah, I mean, to be fair, we are very much in the range where an author might still like try to just throw everything at the wall to make sure
Hmm.
that the series doesn't get canceled. So maybe they wanted to go out swinging, or come out swinging with immediately you got Thor versus Lubu, a very recognizable Western character, and I presume a fairly recognizable Asian character in the Japanese market. And oh, they're fighting, and the art is good, and there is no like, you don't need to know any story really. They're just fighting. Like, as far as like a business decision goes for like the start of a manga, it's pretty solid. But I'm not a businessman. I can't count. I have no like financial knowledge, so I read this and I think, wow, yeah, that Thor looks god awful. He looks worse than the Marvel Thor, which is,
Yeah, that
an
Thor looks
achievement.
terrible. Genuinely
I
awful.
Yeah. Shout out to God of War's Thor. That one looks fucking amazing. Like
I haven't
that's
played
what a
that yet.
Thor is
Heard
supposed.
it's good though. Well, I
I
played the
have
first one,
played
but I haven't played Ragnarok.
I played the first one and I hated it. And so I'm not going to be playing Ragnarok, but I do love Thor's design in Ragnarok.
All right, fair
Um
enough.
yeah. I mean, design wise, like God of War fucking slaps. I just don't like the new one, as in the 2018 one. But that's just old man me complaining about video games that are just movies. You know how it
Fair
is.
enough. Yeah, it
Yeah.
probably could have just been. Because I don't really like the combat that much either. But I enjoyed the story, so I powered through it anyway. But it is what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It do be
It's
what it
just
is.
it's another tick on the daddening of video games, right? Where it's like more and more video games are being made for people with kids because more gamers have kids now. If you once you notice it, it really is everywhere, especially in the Western market. If you think of like The Last of Us or like The Witcher, it's
Hmm.
always like, huh, there sure is a suspicious amount of games about gruff, disillusioned old men who learn to care for a young child.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I guess it is just like the natural aging up of the general games audience. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean the average age of a gamer nowadays is 21, I believe. So, it's definitely become a more adult medium, so they want to appeal to more adults. I just wish they did it better, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
But, that's topic for another podcast.
yeah. Doesn't really fit for here, but
Yeah.
still,
Yeah, Record of Ragnarok gets the this was made by power scalers and for power scalers out of 10.
I feel like it wasn't even really made for power scalers because they're not even like they're not doing anything tangible. They're just like, oh shit, this guy did the biggest thing.
I don't know. I could imagine like someone getting like super into it by trying to like figure out, okay, are there any other things sort of in actual history and mythology that we can like look to figure out other stuff about this fight? Like I could imagine it because, as I said, it's super popular on anime YouTube for whatever reason. Which more power to them. But yeah, definitely
However you
not for
get your
me.
kicks, it ain't me.
Yeah, absolutely. Not everyone can make documentaries on Monster Hunter. Not everyone enjoys making them.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But all right. Is that a wrap?
Yeah, I think so. So
All
that
right.
is it for today. We will see you guys next time, and we will have the submission up on Patreon for the next month's, the December one, pretty soon.
Yeah, I feel very sorry for anyone who was really excited to have me specifically read Record of Ragnarok. Uh,
Uh-oh.
play with fire and all that.
Yeah.
But all right, folks. See you around.
See you later, everybody.